While Canada is under massive tariff threats impending from the United States, what's happening to massive corporations? Well, a lot of them are fleeing, like Amazon did in the province of Quebec. In fact, a huge amount of people were laid off. There is some speculation whether or not that was due to them trying to unionize. Other people think that it might have something to do with the tariffs. Either way, it's a huge amount of jobs lost for Canadians, especially in the province of Quebec. But it's not just Quebec that's had jobs being disappearing in the country. In fact, we're seeing a lot of jobs disappearing throughout the entire country. In fact, job losses and mass exodus of companies will be happening in Canada in 2025. Let's take a look at this CBC video here that goes into a little bit more depth than I'm going to go into right now. And then we'll actually maybe take a look at another article as well and just kind of react to how insane of a situation this really is for our country.
Our calls for people in Quebec to boycott Amazon 2 days after the company said they're leaving the province and laying off more than 1,700 workers.
This is a small act that we can do to show that we support good working conditions, we support the right to unionize, and we most of all reject the arrogance of Amazon.
Many people on social media echoing allegations from a Quebec union saying Amazon's layoffs are in response to workers in Laval unionizing. Amazon denies that its decision to leave has anything to do with the union, but retail experts don't really believe that. Amazon doesn't expect this boycott to impact delivery.
Yeah, so obviously, if you were an employee, of course you're going to want to, an ex-employee, you're going to want to obviously try to boycott the company that laid you off. But ultimately, in the end, people, they're so reliant on Amazon, and it's very unfortunate. That's where we are now today, is people are just reliant to what's quick and easy. What is the most convenient option for me? Amazon will be one of those options that probably come up more often than not because it's just so convenient. Sometimes if you have Prime, not only do you get a streaming platform on top of that, you get free delivery, and usually it's the next day. So losing all these jobs, it's going to maybe affect, they're saying it's not going to affect the deliveries. I think it will. But regardless, it's absolutely brutal to see this happening. Obviously, Amazon is one of the biggest companies in the world right now. So when you see companies like that lay off or they want to leave your country or province, it's always a pretty bad sign. And this is another CBC video.
This week, Amazon said it was going to close 7 distribution centers in your home province in Quebec with 1,700 jobs on the line. At least that was the first number. You told them that Canada would be reviewing its relationship with Amazon. Where is that at?
My point is that we're not going to let Amazon do what they want without that being unanswered. We need to stand up for our workers. We need to stand up for our industry. I had to call them, and they did not bother even to call the Premier of Quebec to let him know about the situation. And when we had a call, they were less than transparent with me. Not only did they not tell me the full story, I had to learn in the media that it was not a number around 1,700, but actually after a call, someone released that they had an additional something like 1,900 employees. That's unacceptable. Canada is a G7 country. Treat our workers with respect. Treat Canada with respect, and treat our industry with respect. And I sent a letter to the CEO of Amazon, and I said, you know what, it's time for you. You still have time to reconsider. I'm happy to talk. A few hours ago, we learned in the Wall Street Journal that suddenly they're willing to engage in a discussion with federal officials and provincial officials. For me, that's what we need to do. It's a different world. It's elbows up. You need to make sure that you fight at every step of the way.
And hopefully, that actually does come to fruition. And I hope that some of those jobs can be saved. But I honestly think not even just the fact that they were trying to unionize, I think the impending tariffs, which is something we might talk about a little bit later in another video in the future, that really is starting to scare a lot of companies and figure out whether or not they want to actually stay in Canada. Now, obviously, deliveries, customs and everything else going across borders, that could be something directly that's going to be impacted by tariffs. And Amazon is a company that literally deals in that. Apart from Amazon Prime, obviously there's other factions to their company, but that is the biggest portion of their company is deliveries. And this is another video going into depth that I found as well on TikTok.
Giant Amazon will close its warehouses in the province within the next 2 months, putting nearly 2,000 people out of work.
Well, there's a lot of anger coming out of Quebec today, Art. There are 7 Amazon warehouses that are expected to be closed due to this announcement. As many as 1,800 people, full-time and part-time, who could be affected by this in terms of losing their jobs. One of the key locations locations that Amazon has a warehouse that is scheduled to now be shut down after their announcement today is in Laval. Laval is an important location because that is a unionized warehouse. It is the only unionized Amazon warehouse in all of Canada. They were given permission by Quebec's Administrative Labour Tribunal in April to unionize with the Confederation of National Trade Unions. And many people feel as though Amazon is announcing the shutdown of these Canadian warehouses, these Quebec warehouses, because of that unionization. Our colleagues at CBC Montreal spoke to workers at the Laval warehouse today to see how they feel about the announcement.
We have to pay about everything, you know, the house, car, the kids, family, and it's so bad.
Yeah, do you guys think it is more to do with the layoffs? Do you think it's more to do with just the economy in general, inflation, and like how bad Canada is handling inflation? If you've been in the grocery store lately, it's absolutely insane. And I do think that I'm not saying that that's not everything. Of course, that could lead to the company wanting to disperse and leave the province. Unionization is obviously a massive threat to massive corporations, to be honest. I think it's one of the biggest threats, but I don't think that it's the whole story. You know, we have the tariffs again, like I was talking about, but also inflation, and that's a real big problem in Canada. And I think inflation is going to go even higher because of the interest rate cut that was just announced, but we'll talk about that as well in a future video. So here is the last one I wanted to discuss here from a radio station in Montreal.
All right, and if you haven't heard the news, Amazon is closing all of its warehouses in Quebec. You know, those giant ones over the next 2 months, which means, unfortunately, 1,700 people are going to lose their jobs. You know what I would do? If I had all the money in the world and can make all the decisions in this province, I would make those into affordable housing. They're huge. You can make a ton of condos in those areas. There's lots of parking. What do you think? Shall we do that? Who's in charge? Let's do that.
That would be great. I just don't think that's really going to happen. It would be, you know, it'd be asking too much out of the government. You know, make some affordable housing. Come on, affordable housing. In Quebec, that would be, well, Quebec compared to other provinces, let's be honest, is relatively affordable. But, you know, affordable housing, of course, that's something that the province needs. All provinces need that. I just don't think that's going to happen. I'm hoping that at some point in the future, Amazon does reconsider and then moves back to Quebec. Quebec is one of the biggest provinces in Canada. I believe it's the second or third most populated province in Canada, so it's definitely a massive portion of Canada's future GDP, right? Different provinces give a little bit more, a little bit less. Obviously, Ontario is the financial capital of Canada, but Quebec is definitely a very important province, even culturally. And to see 1,700 jobs just disappear like that is really scaring. Is really scary and should lead to some alarm bells going off about what could be happening in 2025, especially with Trump taking over office in the States and the tariffs that could be heading our way. Anyways, guys, hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, leave a like down below, subscribe if you are new to the channel, and leave your thoughts down below, and we'll discuss it maybe in the next video. Take care.